Hey guys, Kyle Griffin and Sean Strickland here. Today we want to talk to you a little bit about the day in the life of Sean and what that looks like for him as a cowboy and what he stands for and why he got started doing what he's doing. Real quick before we get started, I represent Griffin Media, a digital marketing agency, and I have partnered with Sean to basically capture his journey. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a little windy today, so this is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
The wind's supposed to die down around 1 o'clock today, and we'll get some Colts Road later. But
sure,
if that wind's howling, I usually kind of wait until it lays down. It's not fun riding Colts in the wind.
So, I understand.
So yeah, good timing.
Yeah. Well, Sean, I have a few questions together on this notepad I have here.
Sure.
And I know a lot of people are curious about what it is that you do. Can you please just tell us, like, we all know that you train horses. We all know that you've worked at big ranches. We know that you worked with a lot of cattle, broncs. You've been in rodeos. I mean, heck, you traveled to China. You know, what drives your passion? What got you started in the cowboy world?
Man, that's kind of a tough question, but an easy question at the same time. Growing up as a kid, my family has got a ranch in Menard. I spent a lot of time as a kid out there and just riding horses, being around cattle. It wasn't a huge ranch or anything like that, but that's kind of what created that passion within me, and just kind of grew from there. My great-grandpa, his name was Hoot, and he was a horseman, a mule man, and my grandma always tells me that I kind of take after him a lot in the senses that he traveled around, he worked with horses, he worked with mules, and between, my grandmother, my grandfather, and my dad, they just kind of instilled that passion for horses in me. And we didn't go to any big type of shows, we didn't do anything like that, it was just more for pleasure.
Okay.
And so that's what got me started in my passion for it. And I just took that path in life. That's where I was led. That's where the Lord led me, was to stick with that.
Sure.
And to be honest, it's about the only thing I really know how to do.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for cattle and horses, I don't know what I could do for a living, to be honest. I'm sure I would be successful at it, but I'm nowhere near the success that I want to be right now within the horse industry. I'm working on it constantly, daily. But just to answer your question, it was instilled into me by my family, and that's where I got the passion for it.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. So you come from a whole legacy of cowboys and just growing up in that world and just...
Oh, well, I wouldn't call it a legacy. Whenever I think legacy, I think of stuff like the 4.6s, the Pitchfork, Tongue River.
Sure.
That's legacy. Right. I was just able and fortunate enough to have a little bitty taste of that eventually grew into going into some of those legacy type places.
Okay.
And so, but yeah.
So if you're following your passion, you're doing well at it.
I guess. It's the only thing I know.
Okay. Well, we all know that your company is called Poison Spider Bermuda, and we see that logo everywhere. We see it on your trailers, on your jackets, and on some of your horses too.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So Poison Spider Bermuda, it was started by my wife and I in Wyoming when we were up there. It started out. Before that was Poison Spider Cattle Company.
Okay.
That was me, Tom Morehouse, and Johnny Ferguson.
Yes, sir.
We started a cattle operation up in Wyoming. We had a pretty good size spread up there, had some really good cowboys that worked for us, and the reason it was called Poison Spider is because we were on Picosa Creek, and everybody's just like, man, where did you get that name? They're like, that's creepy.
Yeah.
So it started out as Poison Spider Cattle Company. Well, it was neat because I always wanted to have a horse program, but I never was in the position to start a horse program. So while we were out there working cattle, working the ranch, Amy and I started Poison Spider Bermuda. Bermuda meaning horse herd.
Sure.
So we started that. We bought and traded a lot of horses. We raised a lot of horses, and we sold a lot of horses. We showed a lot of horses, and so, you know, we would have a cutting horse, we would have a ranch horse, we would have a barrel horse, or we would just have a pleasure horse. And so we didn't try to just to stick to one thing only. And so that's how we came up with Poison Spider Bermuda. We used the horses on the ranch. A lot of the cowboys rode our horses, and we carried over that brand from Poison Spider Cattle Company to Poison Spider Bermuda. It's a lazy 3 open A, and we made that go on the left side of the jaw on a horse. And you know, that's kind of how we just came up with Poison Spider Bermuda. We wanted to have a horse program, so we started, and then it just kind of evolved into horse training more than raising a bunch of horses. We don't raise so many horses now. We have a few nice colts out there. We actually have a mare that we're picking up from the vet today. She's a daughter of C.D. Alina that's getting bred to third cutting. We have a daughter of Play Gun right now that's getting bred to a stud named Cat Proof. And then, you know, a lot of times we'll just buy young colts. I don't necessarily want to have a big broodmare band. I would rather just go look for the bloodlines I like, buy that young horse, train that young horse, sell that young horse.
Yes, sir.
And so that's what Poison Spider Bermuda is. It's training and a few horse sales now, whereas it used to be nothing but horse sales.
Right.
And so it's just more training. Now, I guess you could call it Poison Spider training with a few horses.
Sure. Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, today we're in Cristobal, Texas, and this is where you were born and raised. And you just told us a little bit about what you were doing in Wyoming and how Poison Spider got started and where the name came from. Was there anything else that you were doing before that?
Oh, yeah. I went to TCU through the ranch management program. From there, I graduated. Tom Morehouse hired me to run the New Mexico division for Tongue River. Then Tom retired. Then that's when he kind of came to me and said, hey, let's go to Wyoming. Let's start a cattle operation. And he said, would you like to be part of it? And I said, yes. He said, good, because you're moving there. I'm not. But prior to that, I day worked all over. I day worked in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada. I kind of just lived the dream. I just kind of drifted around before I met my family. I just drifted around. I wanted to see different ranches. I wanted to see the way that somebody else did it. And it was a blast. I also rodeoed. I rode bareback horses in the PRCA.
Yes, sir.
And there's a reason why I'm back to training horses, because I wasn't a good enough bareback rider. So, but I got fortunate enough in 2004 to go to China and represent America, riding bucking bulls and bucking horses. Did that, and you know, and I really enjoyed that. I got to see a bunch of the world, got to meet a lot of good people, but it was probably a 7-year span that I rodeoed. Sure. And I just decided that, hey, you know, maybe this just isn't for me alone. So I went back just to cowboying, and at that time I was a pretty pitiful cowboy. I was pretty green. I was pretty green on training horses, and so I wanted just to be good. I wanted to be better. I wanted to be one of those guys that young hands looked up to. I wanted to be one of those guys that could take a young colt and make it into a really nice horse. So you asked me a while ago kind of what's my passion. That was kind of my passion, wanting to be the best that I could be. And I still have a long ways to go. But that's just kind of, you know, a little backstory there of where I was, what I did, and now we're down here in Cristobal. The reason why we're in Cristobal is we closed out Poison Spider Cattle Company in 2018, I believe it was. And then it might have been 19. But from there, I was hired to manage a really large ranch in southern Utah, and I went there for about a year. Absolutely gorgeous place, but to be honest, I liked working for myself versus working for somebody else. I had gotten used to working for myself and making all the decisions, and it wasn't a horrible deal working for somebody else. They were gracious to me. They let me, make a bunch of decisions, but I was just sitting down one day, and Amy and I were there in Utah with the kids running around, and I said, I've been gone for 20 years. I left the day after my high school graduation. I moved to Fort Worth, and I stayed gone for 20 years, which was an absolute blast. A lot of that time I was single. But then I met Amy, we got married, had some kids, and I just was looking at my kids one day, and they're like, I told Amy, I said, man, they don't even know my dad. They don't know my grandparents. They don't know all my family, and then they didn't really, my youngest, or my only daughter, Riata, she knew my mother, and then she had passed away, but we wish we would have had more time with Spade, with my mom, Riata with my mom, and myself with my mom before she passed. So I just thought, I've had a lot of fun. I think it's time to move home. It's time to get close to family. So I reached out to my dad, and actually I kind of started looking for jobs. And I had 3 really good opportunities for some ranch jobs, and then I just told Amy, I said, to be honest, I want to work for myself. And she said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, all I really know is cattle and horses. And I said, I think I want to just go back to, training some colts and whatnot like that. And I never really did train for the public. I did get to go to some ranches and ride a bunch of colts for those ranches. Yeah. But I decided that, I'm going to let my amateur status in the NCHA go. Kind of pulled around on my own horses and showed my own horses. I let my status go and then became a trainer. And so now I can train horses for the public. And I told Amy, I said, if that's what we're going to do, we've got to have a facility. And just finding a facility is not the easiest thing in the world if you want to train horses, especially if you don't have a big name, if you haven't won $1 million or something. So I talked to my dad. He said, I've been wanting to build our horse facility up for years. I just haven't had any, drive to do it. And he said, why don't you come back down to Christoval and let's build this thing up. And so that's what we did. We happened to find 20 acres right across the road from my dad and my stepmom Lisa's place. Got it rented, got a great house. We got some property here to turn some horses out. And Dad and I started building. We built an arena, we built a cutting pen, we built 10 20 by 40 stalls, and it's continuously every day. It's continuously project, just building and building and building. It's kind of slowed down a little bit right now, but we're darn sure not done. So that's kind of the reason why we moved back to Christoval. 2 reasons: to be close to family, and second, just to kind of get back to what my passion is riding and training horses.
Well, that's amazing, Sean. That's amazing. So I heard you say something about colts. Is that the only kind of horses that you train out here?
No, I take a little bit of everything. My ultimate goal is to have nothing but cutting horses.
Gotcha.
I would like to have a set of clients that leave horses in training with me. But right now, I've got to do what I got to do to survive. And if you're out there and you are a horse trainer, a colt starter, whatever you are, it's a constant battle to keep enough horses in your barn.
Sure.
So I said, I can't be too selective. I've got to be humble. I'm going to take whatever the Lord will provide me with. And since we have started in October, it's been fantastic. We've got a long waiting list of horses to come. We've got some 2-year-old cutting horses in training right now that hopefully they make out and we'll go to the futurity with. I've had barrel horses come in. I've had just ranch horses. I've got a hunter jumper horse in right now. So it's everything.
Yeah, every time I come out here, the stalls are just completely full.
Yeah,
every one of them.
And it's always a different horse, you know. They're either here for 60, 90 days. I got, one horse that's going to be here for 2 years.
Wow.
And so it's a little bit of everything. So we don't just, like I said, I'd like to get just to one discipline, but I got to do what I got to do to provide for my family. And if that means that I've got to ride a hunter jumper horse and a barrel horse and a cutting horse and a ranch horse, then that's what I'm gonna do.
Right,
So.
right. And we all know horses like to eat. So when they come and see you and during the training process, Sean, do you have like a special diet that you put them on? Do you feed them certain things, certain treats?
Oh, we use alfalfa hay. We use grass hay. We just kind of see what the horse likes. Most of the time, it's alfalfa hay, and we have a complete alfalfa cube that we feed the horse. It's got a mineral program in it, and then all the horses will get a Vitalize supplement. It's a good gut supplement. They'll also get some joint supplement in there, and so every horse most of the time gets all the same feed. We provide the feed with our program, but every once in a while we'll have a client that just says, I want you to feed this, and they'll bring that feed out, but everything's basically the same.
Okay.
So.
Well, Sean, I heard you say Vitalize. I believe that's one of your sponsors. I know that you have a few people that are kind of scratching your back out here. Can you kind of talk to us about your sponsors?
Sure.
And what the relationship's like?
Well, so Vitalize has been with me for about 4 years. They came to us, I believe they came to us whenever I was up in Wyoming. We were showing cutting horses, made it to top 15 in the world, went to the futurity, and I honestly can't remember how we came together. No, we did come together because we were using their cattle mineral program.
Gotcha.
And then Vitalize was the horse side of it, and so that's whenever they came to us. They seen how much of their mineral we were using for their cattle, and they said, "Hey, you got a horse program? Let's do something." So we've had them. They deal in supplements, like I said, joint, good gut. They make some treats, and they're really big in the hunter jumper world. And they just started getting into more of the roping, more of the barrel racing. I know that they have an NFR qualifier last year that they're sponsoring, and then they got us. Let's see, another sponsor that we've had is Picosa Creek Outfitters. They've been with us earlier this year. They supply us with boots.
Yeah, these are the ones you're wearing right now, right?
Yeah, a pair of boots here. And they've been super good to us. They've sent me 2 pair of boots and then a handmade pair of boots. And they're also about to start with American hats. So I'm sure we'll start getting some American hats in.
Awesome.
And they've been awesome.
Yeah.
To work with. We have Ranch House Coffee.
Nice.
And just a big coffee company. And, well, I can't say big. They're a mom and pop coffee company. And they just kind of reached out to us. They saw our social media. And so they send us a bunch of coffee. And they, they promote us on social media. So all these sponsors, none of them are money sponsors.
Right.
And that's okay with me. I'm not going and hauling for the world anymore. I would like to. I'm not going to these big, huge cutting shows. I'm going to some NCHA shows. I'm going to some other cuttings, and Amy's going to all these barrel races and stuff. But what they've done is they basically have given me all their product. In return, they promote me on social media, which is really good for me because our company is social media driven. And it return creates business for me, meaning I've gotten a lot of my horses and a lot of the horses that I have in training through the social media. They'll see a post about us riding colts. They'll see a post about us, doing something with the horses, and it's because of these people who are sponsored, have sponsored us. They share that stuff on social media. So, like I said, it's been a great relationship. It's made my business grow tenfold.
Awesome.
And so another one that we have is Team Equine. They just came on with this. They have saddle pads. They have wraps or boots for your horses. They've got breast collars. They got cinches, and they provide us with all these nice saddle pads that we use when we're riding colts or in the show pen. And let's see. We have Team Equine, we have Picosa Creek, Ranch House Coffee, Vitalize, and then Jason Jarvis is about to jump on board with us. He's building us some spurs and bits, and whenever we go to these shows, we'll use his bits and use his spurs, and he's getting some stuff made up for us right now. So
amazing.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, and I saw you pumping something in your feed earlier you're giving to your horses. What was that?
That was the Vitalize.
That was the Vitalize.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's amazing, Sean. I know that you're a hard-working guy, and you've been around a lot. I mean, you've said you've been to China, to Wyoming, to Utah, worked with all these different ranches and stuff. I'm sure that's came with some level of sacrifice as far as your spouse. How has that been? What kind of support has
Well,
your
a lot
wife
of that,
given you?
a lot of that stuff was done before I was married.
Okay.
I've done a lot of stuff while I've been married, and I've been gracious enough to have a wife that's willing to follow me anywhere I go.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that she's the first one to pack up a box,
Right.
But yeah, Amy's been with me. We've been together, I think, including dating, about 13 years. We got 2 kids. We got Riata, who's 7, and Spade, that's about to be 3. And no, Amy's been awesome. She's been a trooper. We've lived at some big ranches that were incredibly remote. When we were in Utah, we were 2 hours from the nearest town.
Wow.
And, or I guess the nearest Walmart, I guess you could call it. And so, yeah, she's been my rock. And I couldn't do anything without her. She's the one who does all my booking for Poison Spider Bermuda.
Okay.
She runs everything. She helps me with my colts. If I got a first ride on a colt, she'll get in there on another horse or with the flag and push me around.
Sure.
And Riata, she's a typical 7-year-old little girl. She loves to ride, but as soon as we start riding, she's like, oh, I want to do something else. But she rides a lot. She's a very good rider. She's already been in 2 NCHA shows. And she, goes down and gets on her favorite horse, Metallic Bourbon, and rides around on the barrels and the cut and flag. Spade, he's just running around the barn. He's in love with tractors. He's constantly taking apart his buggies. He's constantly hooking up trailers to his buggies. And he's eat up with tractors and monster trucks right now.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, no, I've got an awesome family. And I wouldn't be where I'm at today without them, and that's 100% true.
Well, good for you, Sean. Well, we just want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for tuning in with us. It's been a pleasure here interviewing Mr. Sean. So, guys, just tune in, and thank you for watching.
All right. Thank you.